Okay, Israel. I hope everybody is doing well today. Hope everybody's weekend and their Shabbat went smoothly. I hope everybody had productive weekends and productive day today. We're back on it. It's Monday, everybody's favorite day. So once again, shout out Cabo Cobb and his congregation in Guatemala and the brothers and sisters he teaches all throughout the United States. Also, shout out Kazakia SOW Virginia. Quatazap SOW Houston, and Zion SOW Rochester, New York. Hope your brothers doing well, fighting a good fight, continue to do their thing, and hopefully we'll be seeing each other looking up sooner than later. Hopefully when we have our Feast of Tabernacles, we'll meet up and have some good times. Today, the title of the class today is The Importance of Counseling Without Being Emotional. And that's that. Listen. If that one don't ring your bell, I don't know what to tell you. This is something that everybody who is a leader needs to learn. Everybody who is trying to work on their leadership, everybody that's trying to work on their counseling and their teaching needs to take notes, because this is a serious thing amongst Israel. Depending on how we counsel truly determines how the people that we're teaching receives the information, and the Most High is really looking at us. We might know the Bible, we might know the scriptures, but we're going to sit back and go on these scriptures to kind of show that emotionally we don't really handle counseling and confrontation well. So the first verse we're going to go into kind of elaborates and explains that. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 21.
Jeremiah 10 and 21. For the pastors are become brutish. For the pastors have become brutish and have not sought the Lord.
So he's letting us, we're going to go on a definition of brutish real quick. But he says the pastors are become brutish and have not sought the Lord. So a lot of us, well, let's go on a definition of brutish first.
Brutish. Like a brute or beast, says insensible, stupid.
Well, that too. That's a fact. True. That is true. But instead of just saying stupid, there's other definitions for brutish. Unfeeling. Unfeeling is the one that really hits, because a lot of us will counsel. We will correct. I need you to get some notes. Not that. Okay. I mean, if I think I got you, then you get rid of it. Okay. So, read that verse again.
Come on, Jeremiah 10 and 21. For the pastors are become brutish.
Okay. So he says our teachers, our leaders, have become brutish. Brutish is unfeeling. So a lot of us, we get scriptures, we get breakdowns, we understand counsel tactics. We understand how to sit back here and have a long damn counsel, but there's no feeling, there's no love, there's no consideration in the middle of the counsel. And let's continue to go into it. Unfeeling, another word is savage. But the way savage is explained goes to another synonym, which is insensible. To be brutish is to be insensible. INSENSIBLE. And the definition of insensible is, yeah, go for it if you got it.
Number 3.
It's us destitute.
Destitute of power, of feeling or perceiving.
So it says destitute, meaning lacking of the power of feeling or perceiving. And this is what happens a lot of times with young teachers, young counselors, and some old teachers and old counselors. We just correct, but we lack the ability to perceive. What does perceive mean? I got to understand the person I'm correcting. I got to understand the situation. I got to understand the context in which the mistake or the failure was manifested before I start sitting back here and yapping off at the mouth, correcting and being emotional and losing my cool. But many of us are insensible in the midst of counseling, insensible in the midst of communication. And all that means is all the counselor or the teacher or the advisor is focused on is telling the other person how messed up they are. And that's Israel to a T. Israel are masters at correcting, checking, telling people that they're off. But we're completely disconnected to reading the room, reading the situation, being aware of all the circumstances behind or before you start correcting and chastising. We don't think on that level. All we think about how is your sin pisses me off.
It's shallow.
And it affects me. It's shallow, and there's no feeling there. There's no thinking. There's no consciousness of the other person. Not about another person's feelings, so to speak, but the condition of the situation and how this correction will affect their spirit.
It's a one-dimensional perspective.
Like no empathy.
Yes, that's another word.
It's close to it, but it says right here, it says similar to discern. You're not looking at all. Another term, they say a bias, another bias that people have is called oversimplifying something. You're oversimplifying a subject.
You made a mistake. That means you're wicked.
You did this because
that's what it is.
You did this because he wore a red shirt.
Yep.
Okay, that's oversimplifying the problem.
Or he's not locking in because he got a problem with me, and he's just being disrespectful
That's an
to me.
oversimplification of the problem. There are more details that add up to the real problem. Not because he wore a red shirt or he's from
or he just being disrespectful.
He's from the east side. That's why he did it.
Or he has a problem with me. That's why he don't want to respect me. So this is about disrespect.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with what happened in the morning. It had nothing to do with the build-up.
What's going on in his life?
He didn't study for 6 weeks.
No, he got a problem with me.
The brother didn't study for 6 weeks. Rib issues. The brother has an 8. The brother's carnal already. And then there's parental factors might go in the story too. There's actually multiple factors why certain things happen.
Gator don't care about all that. Man.
No.
Gator don't care about none of those scenarios. Yeah. Listen, you piss me off, and I'm going to attack the fact that you pissed me off. Because I'm frustrated. Because I'm frustrated.
Because I'm hungry.
Listen, a war ain't never going to take none of that stuff. Yeah. That's just a little Gator reference. Because that's how we act. We can't get past how people talk to us. So we're going. We're setting the tone. Insensible, destitute of the power of feeling or perceiving, wanting corporal. Wanting is lacking. Corporal sensibility. Corporal is human. We just lack human sensibility. We lack the ability to understand people. And just to be sensible about why people do the things they do. We are too black and white, and we lack or we choose to lack the ability to understand that people do things beyond the scope of how you feel.
Can't get past you.
And that's and that's a deadly thing to be a leader when I'm just sitting back here caught up in the how I feel. And you say, why were you looking at this brother the way he was? Trust me, because I know how brothers are. Whoa!
Yeah.
Who's telling you that? Diablo's telling you that.
I have no evidence. I have no.
Diablo's saying, yeah, trust me, I know men. I know people.
Okay.
I know that spirit. Oh, you know that spirit? Or I know him? You're wrong. Because you still have to have the capability to add a human element to a person's sickness so you can judge properly and clearly.
Yeah, I understand the person's narrative. A person that dismisses the human narrative of the subject just simply looks at their personal narrative because it's really about them.
Because it's all. Listen, we're going to go into that later on. You're almost spilling the tea.
No beans.
Spilling the beans. There's no beans to be spilled. This is. I'm honestly, we just sit back and get into this because Israel as a nation has to learn how to carry themselves with way more tact, way more thought and way more consideration. That doesn't mean you soften correction. Correction, it cuts enough. The scriptures cut enough.
You're dealing with
but now you have the scriptures that already cut two ways. Now you're adding your emotion and your bias on top of things. Classes like this are here to help remove bias.
Okay.
And teach Israel how not to have bias in the middle of their conversation.
Yeah.
So the word can penetrate properly. Let's eliminate the bias and make sure the message is clear. Yes, sir.
Correcting it without adding up disgust.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem with Israel. You corrupt. It's 75. It's like 30% the Bible and 70% hate.
Yeah.
So how is a student going to be able to sit back and not think it's hate? Well, I pulled the verse. No, you pulled the verse with 70% of hate and disgust behind it.
Chapter 8, verse 1. And little St. John.
Sprinkle with John.
John.
Wait. Is St. John had the one verse hate?
Nehemiah hate and hate.
Yeah. Nehemiah hate and hate. Oh my God. Because that's a lot of our people. So let's read Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 21.
Jeremiah 10:21. For the pastors are become brutish.
He says, the pastors are become brutish, disconnected, hateful. Continue.
And have not sought the Lord. Therefore,
he says, and they haven't sought the Lord. What he's letting us know that the way we counsel, the way we teach, the way we develop people has nothing to do with the Lord. It's all about us, because if we were truly seeking the Lord, the message would be pure. Our negative intent wouldn't be a part of the counsel. If we really gave a damn about making sure the message was as pure as it possibly was, I don't think we take into account when we're trying to develop and correct people, the intention has to be pure so that the word and message of the Most High can take over. Too many times we want to add our personality, our little hiccups, our schisms into the message because we want to make it about us. But we're not seeking the Lord when we're developing people, when we're working with people. When we see a person has a problem, we want to add in our personal biases, our directional heritage.
Yep.
I'm from the West Coast. This is how brothers on the West Coast deal. That's lame.
We don't take this kind of.
We don't take this kind of crap on the West Coast.
We don't accept this.
Or East Coast. East Coast bias when we counsel.
Yeah.
Or this one from the South, man. You don't talk to people like that, man. You cross the line, man. Everything's man.
And don't do the Bible. Don't do that in the South. You don't do that in the South.
That's what you can't do that. What about you can't do that with the Bible? How come that's not talked about, huh? All of these biases are mixed in the midst of us trying to teach and counsel and develop our nation. So what happens is, you live with young people and experienced people, they see you and you're negative. They see you and your hate, and that's what they pick up on, and they don't see the word of the Lord. And this is why we're disconnected as being leaders and spokesmen for the Lord. Because we're not seeking the Lord in the midst of us being pastors and leaders.
I get you.
So, let's continue in that verse again.
Therefore, they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered.
The flocks will leave. That's why men don't follow men that make it about them. For those reasons. The flocks scatter. Because, you know what? People aren't stupid. And when people come from the world, they are more tuned in to worldly reactions,
and carnality,
worldly responses, and worldly emotion than the Bible.
Yeah.
So in the midst of you sitting back here and pushing 40% of the spirit and 60% of the flesh, the young student will say, man, this person got a problem with me. That person ain't got Jesus in him. This person's just like a nigga in the street that I knew in the past. And it's true. It is true. And your 40% of good intentions don't mean nothing when all they see is 60% carnal, 60% emotion, 60% pride and ego. This is why he says the flock is scattered when we don't seek the Lord and we operate brutish. We operate with this brutish mentality, this disconnected, lack of human consideration, this insensible and unfeeling approach to things. We're going to go to another verse real quick to explain another way to explain a brutish, insensible, and an unfeeling counselor.
And when we say unfeeling, I mean, you're not considering the internal humanity of the subject.
God.
I'm not considering this person's background when I'm counseling.
And you're not considering what they really need.
That's
all you're focused on is how you feel. You're not focused on what they need. Remember the Most High in the Wisdom of Solomon 12 talked about how the Most High judges everything in every situation, every nation perfectly.
Yeah. Yes.
He judges and he weighs the scenario in everybody perfectly. We don't do that. We don't judge situations. We don't judge where a person is properly at and build our responses based upon where they're at in the spirit. We don't do that. We just lash out because we want to lash out. And we are unfeeling and insensible to the people around us. All we know how to do is what Ezekiel chapter 21 and 31 says we do. This is what Israelites with the Bible become experts in. And I've noticed this since I've been in the truth since 94. Israelites are great at this. And there was a culture back in the day called John Blaze. Check, correct? Ezekiel 21 and 31 is a verse. Ezekiel 21 and 31. There's always been a culture of this in Israel. Not just then, even now. When you're in Israel, when you're in Israelite camp amongst Israelites, Israel knows how to do this for sure. Ezekiel 21 and 31.
Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 31 reads, "And I will pour out my indignation upon thee. I will blow against thee in the fire of my wrath, and deliver thee into the hand of brutish men."
So the Most High says he's one of our punishments is that he's going to send us into the hand of brutish men. Then the Most High said the pastors have become brutish, right? But what is one element about a brutish man or a leader that's brutish that we can say is in Israel today? Read the next line.
"And is skillful to destroy."
Listen, that brutish man is skillful to destroy. And that's what the counselors we have be rolling like. We really know how to destroy spirits. And I'm going to tell you, this is why the Most High don't give men ribs. There's a real reason. Young men. You don't give young men ribs because they're skillful to do what? Destroy. So Most High, one of the prerequisites he has in dealing with leaders or young men, why am I going to give you a rib when all you know how to do is destroy the people around you? You're good at destroying. You're good at pointing out a person's flaw. Because that's what destroying is. You're very good at saying, you're off. You're wicked. You suck. You stink. You're out the spirit. I don't like this about you. We're very good at that. Right or wrong?
Right.
That's what Israel is expert at doing. We're scientists. Listen, call me Dr. Evil. I will sit back here and point out the wickedness in you any day of the week.
I dissected it.
To a millisecond. Millimeter. Yes. We have dissected the evil in this person. We are wired that way, unfortunately. And that is part of the brutishness in us. Now, the punishment of our wickedness is the Most High will send us around brutish men who are skillful to destroy. But on the other side of it, Most High said our leaders are brutish and skillful to destroy. That's why it says the flock scatters around the brutish men. Because this is why men are always in counsel about offending other men. It's always a counsel about saying the wrong words, pissing this brother off, offending this brother. Because all we know how to do is scatter. And the only response to why brothers are brutish and good at destroying, he pissed me off. He was out of order. He was disrespectful. And because I saw evil in this person, he was disrespectful, now I have the right to destroy. To destroy. Because you offended me, now I get to destroy you. And this is why the Most High says that type of element has to get removed from Israel. that destructive, hateful, insensible mindset that's in our nation. And it's even worse when you know scriptures. When you can sit back here and pull scriptures
To justify.
to justify the scriptural things you said, but it's mixed with so much hate and evil, they have to sit back here and adapt to the fact that you were hateful, but the scriptures they pulled were correct. Now you take people off balance. Now they start questioning themselves and asking themselves, is the truth true or not? And it is a form of gaslighting. It's a form of gaslighting. Yes, I?
And I just have to say this, and it makes you feel like you're being ran like cattle
Gun.
in a pen,
Gun.
and you're being moved and corralled in different places like cattle.
Hold on. Well, what it makes you feel is your worst carnal outlook about a situation. Because everybody might not say they feel like cattle in a scenario like that.
Because I'm speaking, but I'm not innocent. It's not like I haven't been wrong either. But
No, what I'm saying is, hear me out. What I'm saying is this: it makes everybody else resort to their base self. That is a more broad way to explain it, because what you're saying is your version of it, but everybody else goes into their baser selves to justify their base nature. Either it's that, or you sit back and start second guessing yourself. Is what I'm seeing true? I know I see BS. I know this dude's negative, but yeah, he pulled the scripture. I was off about this.
Yeah.
But me being off about this doesn't change the fact that this person is negative.
No, it's a stumbling block. It's a stumbling block because now I have to fight. One, I didn't like the check in the first place because obviously it didn't feel good. But then I also don't want to follow it because I know it's insincere behind the check.
Mm-hmm.
The message might be correct, but because there's so much insincerity in how it was brought to me, I'm now fighting obedience.
Yep.
Which now makes the fight harder than it has to be.
It's already hard to obey in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why, as a young person, now I've been through shit before.
Yep.
You gotta make the decision. Listen, man, I'm just about to buy it.
But that's hard to do when you're young in the street. That's a general's answer. I'm making about Christ. A lot of us don't do that. A lot of us can't handle that and be mature enough to see the message in it.
Get through it.
No, that's true. I'm just saying, but most of us don't look at that. That's why there's always these long, drawn-out counsels. We got to teach Christ like crazy. To get people to sit back here and get off the damn ledge from going left. Because the only solution is teaching the person that's offended Christ. There's no other way to sit back and fix it. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying, but when you're sitting back here in this uncomfortable, messed up situation, seeing hate and feeling hate, but then you'll get some scriptures sprinkled in there that are true, it's almost like
You gotta get some Christ answers.
I need Christ.
What they say, now what they do.
That's what I'm saying. You need some Pharisee angles.
Yeah.
Okay, the Pharisees are wicked, but just listen to the words.
Yeah.
Now you got to split your mind in half. And
Yeah, do that.
You got to filter out the malarkey that you're getting right now.
Yep.
Just to survive.
Get to filter or
you're gonna perish. You're gonna filter or you're gonna perish.
Yep.
But once again, that process of forcing a younger man to filter, to survive, you're making their job that much harder. You're making their responsibility to serve the Most High 10 times harder because you just can't get, because the leader or the ranking person just can't get past their emotions and their hate and their destructful nature. And that nature listen, you'll know, listen, there shouldn't always be arguments amongst ranking men and subordinates. If there's always confrontation, yeah, the subordinate is off. But it ain't just a subordinate. It's your reaction to the subordinate's actions is what fuels it even worse. So, let that verse go and go to Ezekiel 36 and 26.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26.
Matter of fact, yeah, that's fine.
Whatever you're ready for.
One second. 36:26. Yes, I'm ready.
Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh.
The problem is, this is a future prophecy about Christ sitting back. This is a future. This is when Yahweh Shai comes out of the sky act and delivers us.
We are in this new spirit.
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. Listen, everybody got the devil in them still. I got stony hearts in them. That ain't changed yet. Listen, that's the problem. We're weapons, We're like lethal weapons. We got the Bible and we're still hateful. That's damaging,
Yeah.
We do a lot of damage. I got the word of the Lord. I got the light of the Father spewing out of my mouth, mixed with filth and hatred and venom and disgust. What am I trying to say? Eventually, the Most High is going to put a new heart in us and take that stony heart from us. But until then, we got to fight.
Yeah.
We got to fight, and we have to depend on the body and the leadership around us that can help filter out how we carry ourselves, or we're going to sit back here and still be destructive everywhere we go. What's the point? The point is that you can have the knowledge, the information, the scriptures, be hateful, be rash, be brutish, be insensible, and still be counterproductive towards the movement. We're supposed to have this knowledge and push the wisdom forward, push development forward,
Right.
push the development of our nation forward,
Right.
and we're sitting back here and using the word to selfishly fulfill what's inside of us.
Our desire for personal justice.
Con.
And
our hatred.
It's like a rogue lawyer.
Con.
It's a rogue lawyer.
Bro, a lot of us are rogue lawyers. The Pharisees were rogue lawyers. We sat back here and pushed the word the way it suited us. We correct the way it suits us. And we think Christ is with us. Listen, we can't get in the person's head and pull out the devil out of their head. All we can do is set the stage and teach and be an example. And whatever the Most High does with you, He does with you. That's our job.
Yeah.
We have to sit back here and warn about the possible bloodshed that will come if you don't listen. That's our job.
So we're supposed to pray.
That's what Moses did. Listen, did Moses sit back? Not that I'm Moses. I'm not Moses at all. But did Moses sit back here and change the hearts of Israel?
Nope.
He just was a great example, warned, and then the ground opened up and killed niggas.
Yep.
That's the truth.
Tell the Lord to stop. Pray the Lord. Pray for me.
Listen, he taught, he warned, he was a good example, and people was just dying.
It's true.
That was it. Still people get bit with serpents and fiery serpents,
serpents.
and sitting back here eating so much damn food that the damn food was exploding in their stomachs out. Quail, listen, but that happened. You know when the Most High intervenes. This is what people don't understand. The Most High works on the teacher's side when the message is pure and the example is blameless. Now the Most High kicks in. What people don't understand, counseling and teaching is all about what? One word. Having what?
Mercy.
You got to have faith.
Oh.
You know why? I understand about mercy, but you got to have faith that if you do your job and you are the right example and the issues are clearly painted out, the Most High will take over everything else.
Okay.
But you know the problem is, we want to take ownership to the Lord's children.
Yep.
I done told you 14 times to change, and you ain't changed. You pissed me off. Like, damn, why am I mad that you don't want to serve Christ?
Exactly.
Why am I mad that you're disobedient to the Bible? I'm wasting my time. Because you're trying to take ownership to your work toward the Heavenly Father. We're supposed to give for free. Is that?
You see what it's like, I told you.
I invested all this time. I done told you. I done told you. I'm fixing to. It's all that country comes out when you're angry at.
Country comes up.
You ain't good. You want to sit back here and put ownership and claim to the message you brought out. But the message that you brought out was supposed to be pure in the spirit of Christ. And if you filtered all negative out of you, Christ came out and taught that brother. Christ delivered that message to this brother. And if a brother rejects Christ, he that despiseth not what? So listen, if this person despises the message that you have filtered out all the way of everything that's inside of you, and you disseminate the message as purely as you can, and they reject it, now the Most High is going to directly deal with them.
Because they're rejecting Christ.
But it takes faith to believe that and trust that. I got to trust that it ain't about me. I'm just a filter to get the word out. And to be a physical example of how to live. Anything outside of that is up to the Most High. And then when the Most High sits back here, starts breaking cars, putting holes in your pockets, now God's talking to you. And you can sit back here and be the messenger that the Most High wants you to be, so that you're blameless. So when brothers sit back here and they get corrected, because they will get corrected, sisters too. When the conditions at their job get worse for sisters, life gets harder for sisters when they don't listen to their husbands, our job is to be blameless and in order. So when they're getting stung, the first thing that pops in their head is, I should have locked into my husband. But if I'm angry, getting emotional, overreacting, trying to control another person's obedience to God, then they'll be less apt to realize, oh, this was my fault. They're going to stay hyper-focused on what you did. Don't you hear that all the time in counsel? When you're counseling somebody, the first thing somebody wants to talk about when it's their time to get checked. But I saw you did this. You look at what you said, though. What about what you did? Our job is to deliver the message, be a good example, so there's nowhere to run. So when the Most High intervenes, now we can make the camp experience more spiritual and Bible-based versus emotionally based in the middle of dealing with men. This is how brothers learn. This is how we're taught. This is how we grow. This is how brothers and sisters, husbands and wives, can get the message the Most High is trying to teach us quicker. The quicker that the people around us remove ego and pride and hatred out of the equation and make it about the purifying of the message, now people can grow. Or at least the stage for people to grow is set. Let all this go. Let's go to Ecclesiastes in the Bible, I think. I think it's the Bible. Ecclesiastes. Yep.
Which chapter?
5 and 2.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 2. Be not rash with thy mouth.
He says, be not rash with your mouth. Rash, the definition of rash.
Right. 1828, Webster Dictionary. Hasty in counsel or action. Precipitate, resolving or entering on a project or measure.
There was a lot of words. I want hasty and I want irritable.
Yeah. It says requiring haste or urgent. It says uttered or undertaken with too much haste or too little reflection.
There's another one with irritable, but here, listen, it's too hasty because the haste is fueled by how irritated you are. This is the problem. People make rash statements. They say rash things. They don't think things through because it's what is fueling counsel. What is fueling correction? I'm irritated. I'm pissed. And because I'm pissed, now I'm disrespectful. Now I say the wrong things. Now I'm not communicating properly. Now I am skillful to destroy because I'm irritated. And this is how you know men who aren't good counselors. They're easily irritated. That's what being rash is. Easily irritable. Huh?
Or haste.
Well, I got another definition for haste down the line because there's more verses about haste. This verse is about being rash. That's why I didn't want to focus on haste. I want to focus on, it says, real quick, it says, no, you can hold it. It says, they're irritable and passionate in counsel or action. But what's the passion? It's not enthusiasm that's motivating the passion. It's being irritable is motivating the passion. And that's how you know you're out the spirit. He says, be not irritable with thy mouth. Read on.
And let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before the Most High.
Listen, whether it's to the Most High or to your brother, we had to sit back and have enough self-control and emotional self-control to think about the ramifications of our words before we speak, especially if you are irritable. Like I said, we have a bunch of verses, a bunch of Bible verses, but no maturity and no emotional self-control behind it. If Israel is emotionally emotionally out of control, we don't need to be counseling. We're actually not qualified to be counseling anybody if we're emotional and irritable about what another person says or does. And that's the truth. And we're going through the Bible and all these verses to explain us being irritable and how we talk shows how out of the spirit we are and how not connected to Christ we are. And like we read in Jeremiah, if I'm not mistaken, it was Jeremiah 10 and 21, how we don't pursue the Heavenly Father. We don't pursue the Heavenly Father because we choose our emotions and we fuel our irritations before we speak. So, are we done with that verse?
No.
Let's read verse 2 from the top.
Ecclesiastes 5 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before the Most High. For the Most High is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few.
Let your words be few, especially if you're irritated and you're hasty and you're rash and you're emotional. Don't say a damn thing. If I'm irrational, who should I be checking? Myself. But that doesn't happen. Nothing should get me irrational. Nothing should get me irritated. Brothers and wives should not get you irritated. If we believe what the Bible says, when brothers are rebellious, when sisters are rebellious, they're rebellious against the Heavenly Father. Let the Most High, didn't the Most High, vengeance is His? Wait upon who? Waiting upon the Lord means what? Control your emotions and let the Most High teach. Let the Most High correct. Let the Most High punish. What's that? Okay. Huh? Here we go.
That's not great. Damn, German.
Yeah.
I got it.
But let's keep going. So you finished verse 2. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha 9 and 18. It's German. Listen, Germans from Africa. How about that? That's really what it is. For those who know, they know. Germans from Hamtown. Okay, let's get this.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 18.
Ecclesiasticus 9 and 18. Let's go.
Ecclesiastes 9 and 18. A man of an ill tongue is dangerous in his city.
This already said a person with an ill, emotional, what's that word again? I'm trying to find. Irritable. A person with an irritable tongue is dangerous in a city. Because all he's going to do is start fires. Start fires, initiate beef, confrontation is right behind it. You're going to run the people who are going to want to throw hands back. This is violence and this chaos. That person that just can't control his or her mouth. Read on.
Right. It says, a man of an ill tongue is dangerous in his city, and he that is rash in his talk.
You just read about that rash person, that hasty-minded person, that irritable person. That person is always irritated at people, situations, easily offended. That person that's easily offended, easily irritated is what?
It says, shall be hated.
Shall be hated. Because who wants to be around a person who takes everything personal? Who wants to be around that person who takes everything as a personal affront against you, and then take it out on you, and then emotionally play games with your mind, and just show hatred and anger and emotion? Who wants to be around a person like that? And this is why we take time before we elevate brothers and give rank, because all these things have to be considered before we reward rank and reward position and put people's lives in men's hands. Because if brothers can't control their emotion, why are we going to have men at higher ranks of the camp that nobody's going to be around? Another way of saying men are hated, nobody will talk to them. Nobody's going to really counsel with them. Nobody's going to really confide in them. All it's going to be is con. Because if brothers are going to be rash in their talk and irritated around brothers, you know what you're going to do? You're going to always get the representative. They go, how come we don't talk? How come we don't communicate? Who wants to communicate to a beast? You're going to get the representative. People are going to just play the game. I'm going to follow my order and get the hell home. We're just going to follow orders and not trigger the irritable guy. And just stay away and just back away. And then the rash person going to be like, how come the brothers want to sit back here and talk? How come there's no brotherhood? How come there's no brotherhood in Israel? There's no brotherhood in Israel because there's wolves in the midst of us.
Wolves in the midst.
Yeah.
There's wildebeest around. Who wants to be around a beast, huh? Right or wrong?
Well, you got to pay for that. You
God.
got to pay for confiding.
God. That's my point. Then you're going to get irritation later on. This is why that dynamic amongst brothers is the way it is with certain men. And this is what has to get fixed. You want to say something?
I want to pull a verse.
What you got?
Ecclesiastes 23.
23:1.
16, 16.
I think I got that.
I looked, I didn't see it, but let's see later on.
I think okay.
If you had
Let me go a little deeper in, because I'm afraid we're gonna run out of time.
Gotcha.
Just hold it though, because I think that we're not gonna be deviating too much from this point, so you'll be able to have that. Let's go to Proverbs 29. Proverbs 29, verse 18 through 22. Proverbs 29, verse 18 through 22.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law is happy.
Listen, listen. When you read the rest of this verse, these verses, where there is no vision, the people perish, makes a lot more sense. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
This ain't like this. This ain't I want to say. Is the so
I hope not.
Here's the question. I'm gonna say something. No, but is the vision, and this is for real, is the vision clarity?
We're gonna let's go through 19 and 22, then 18 to make more sense. Okay. Let's read on.
Come, where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yeah, this is what people don't understand about. No, let's get the next verse. Let's read the next verse.
Come, verse 19. A servant will not be corrected by words.
So what is he saying?
Oh,
He says a servant will not be corrected by words. So why am I yelling and screaming then?
wow.
Then the other question is, if a servant will not be corrected by words, then how is a servant going to be corrected by?
Example.
A servant's going to be corrected by the Most High.
Yeah.
Now, we're supposed to teach a person with our examples. But words, I can sit back here and say all the damn crap I want to. It ain't going to make a person change.
He's gonna do.
A person going to make a decision whether you like it or not. Now, what you can do is be a better example, like you said, Amiyah, to teach proper thinking. But the pride and ego that we might think we have, that makes us think our words are that dynamic, is going to make somebody lock in, it ain't. It's almost like the words we say, if it's said the right way, sets the tone for when the Most High corrects you. Then you remember the words.
Yeah.
That's really how it goes down. Our job is to warn, right?
Yep.
Does warn change anything?
No.
Warn. Listen, he told us in Ezekiel, we're supposed to warn. I have warned my whole life in the truth. Since I was 18, I've been warning. And people still ain't listening. How about that? It's like 30 years and not listening. How about them apples?
You do this, you're going back to the rat race if you do this.
Everybody goes back to the rat race. They still go back to the rat race.
I didn't know it was going to be the
In
rat race.
all my years in the truth, one thing I have learned is it doesn't matter what you say. The people going to do what the hell they want to do. I didn't need this one. This verse was like, okay, this is confirmation of 30 years of people not listening. That's what this verse means. So if a servant will not be corrected by words, then why am I so angry trying to get you to sit back and do what I want? Trying to yell and scream and be out of pocket because I'm irritated that you didn't lock into me.
Right.
Con. And a lot of us play God in the truth. A lot of us play God. We weren't shit in the world. Now I got an orange patch. Now I can say some shit now. Now I got a badge. And I can sit back here and be an asshole now because I got a badge. That's really how it be. I know. It's Jew officers, huh? It's Shemai. Drop. You got to drop. Give me 100. You're a cop, huh? You're a mall cop, huh? You're a spiritual mall cop. You're Paul Blart out here, huh? Right, and you're like mall cop buggy, huh? Boom, with your whistle. All you got is a whistle. Oh yeah. You're on the spit. You blow it off fast, huh? This is how we roll. Thinking that we can control something. That's the point.
That's the problem.
We roll like on this level because we think we can control what you're going to do. We can't. Our job is to warn and develop. And if you want to sit back and throw your life away, go ahead. I will sleep fine tonight if you choose not to listen. That's the power too. Do your job to develop somebody, and if you listen, hey, it's cool, man. You want to learn? You want to burn another 10 years? Burn it. It's your life. You want to burn 5? That's the problem. When people don't listen, people are rebellious. You're losing your time. You're wasting your life in the truth. All I'm going to say is if you sit back and burn 7 years of your life making the same mistakes over and over again, just don't come back to me and say the truth did me wrong. No, I don't want to hear that. No. This is why I try to be blameless. So it can't be, the Israelites did this to me. No, you did this to yourself. That's why we try to teach men to be good examples. But read that verse again, verse 19.
Proverbs 29:19. A servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer.
Listen, he might understand what you're saying, but he ain't going to answer. Read on.
Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than him.
He says, seest a man that is hasty or irritable in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him. What does that mean? A person that's hasty, do you think this person who's irritable when he constantly communicates is going to be relied to do anything significant in the work down the line? It's a waste of your time if you think people are going to follow you on a high level. Or you're going to inspire people on a high level if you can't control your emotions. and if you're irritable at every person's sickness and weakness. He's like, you're wasting your time if you think you're going to sit back here and accomplish something significant in the Spirit of Christ. I'm not trying to be rude, but if you're a destructive-minded person, how do you think you're justified to lead large numbers of people? How do you think being emotional and irritable with your people are going to willingly follow you and be obedient? This was just more hope of a fool, meaning the possibility of a fool changing is greater than a person who's irritable and hasty and rash in his communication to be dependent on for anything significant. Read on. Matter of fact, hold on. Let's go and get hasty real quick. Definition.
Hasty, 1828. What's the dictionary? At what point?
It says eager and rash, opposed to deliberate.
Yeah, come on. Point number 2. Eager. It says precipitate, rash, opposed to deliberate.
So he says this person that's hasty, we know from the word rash, they're hasty, irritable, and they're overly passionate. But it says opposed to deliberate. Let's get deliberate.
Right.
So this person is opposite of a deliberate person. Now, a deliberate person can be worked with. A hasty person can't be built with. You can't build nothing with a hasty person. You can't put too much responsibility on a hasty person. When I mean responsibility with people. You can't put a hasty person in charge of many people because they're going to destroy those relationships. Read deliberate.
Deliberate, 1828.
I want to weigh in the mind. That one.
Okay, it says to weigh in the mind.
Listen, a person we're supposed to be learning how to weigh in mind how to communicate with people. What's the best way to get the most out of your people? Everybody has their sets of strengths and weaknesses. Their skill sets, their weaknesses, their flaws. You know what? Our job is to deliberate in our mind, what do I have to do to teach a person to help get the most out of the body of Christ we got? In the body of Christ, we have an ear, we have ears, we have feet, we have toes, we have arms, we have torso, we have legs. And we have to find a way to get the most out of the body so we can grow as a nation. So you have to deliberate or weigh in your mind what it takes to develop your people. Read on.
It says to consider and examine the reasons for and against a measure.
So he says you got to be able to sit back here and examine what are the reasons why brothers do what they do, why people do what they do. And 99% of the time, the way you got to go mentally is, I'm going to say all the time, you have to sit back here and reteach yourself. Read that one again. I want to slow that down. To consider and examine.
It says to consider and examine the reasons for and against a measure.
And you are in a good spiritual standing if you can sit back and meditate about the reasons why people do what they do. Remove yourself from the equation. Remove yourself from that measure. You should have nothing to do with how you process why brothers and sisters do the things they do. My lord.
Is it like studying or understanding a person based off of trying to look at their situation and give them mercy?
Well, it's mercy, but you know the best way to learn how to give a person mercy? Remove yourself out the equation. There's nothing to. They do what they do. Brothers do the things they do because there's certain things in them. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Let me remove me out the equation. Because when we sit back here and personalize men's rebellion, our wives' rebellion, then we sit back here and we can't clearly understand the workings of why people do the things they do. I'm not trying to cut off brothers from communicating. I'm just trying to, there's a lot of information here today. That's why I'm not doing as much back and forth as brothers might want to. You have to figure out, hey, let me not focus on the fact that this person snapped at me, that this person overreacted towards me. Because if you look deep enough, you'll see a pattern in men's sickness with everybody in the camp. If you sit back and take the time to watch and study, if you study a person, you'll say, okay, this person did this to me, did this to another person 2 weeks before, did this to another person a month ago. This is a sickness in a person. It's a habit and a pattern of sickness in this man. If you can sit back here and detach your emotion, the fact that something was done to you, then you can properly see the pattern. If you can properly see the pattern, then I can sit back here and teach the sickness. But you still can't be a good teacher if you take people personal. If you are irritated at Israelite sickness, you're not meant for the job. You're not the man or the sister to be a counselor. You're not the sister to be an elder sister if you take people personal. If you take sisters' mistakes personal. You should just hang it up and just be support team. Brothers too. Just support. Because if you can't sit back here, if you are irritated at Israel's sickness, you're in the wrong occupation. We should always say this is a shit shoveling business, man. And if you're shoveling shit every day, guess what's going to happen? A little poop will hit you right here in the mouth. You made a little poop going to fling and hit you everywhere. And you got to accept that. But Israel is in a shit shoveling business. You ever seen those dirty jobs with Mike Roack? And he's around crap and feces and filth and your whole body. Listen, you can't scratch your nose, man. Because your boots and your gloves is all filth and nastiness. You're in there, baby. You're in the filth. And you got to accept that you're in the filth. But we're irritated that we're around sickness every day. And we lack the capacity to disconnect from the fact that we're angry. And I don't like being irritated. And if that's the way, you can't clearly see how to give people the antidote they need to develop their spirit. You just can't do it. Yes, sir.
We want to control people's deficiencies.
That's the point. We want to control. Listen, we just read it in verse 19. A servant's not going to be corrected by words. There's nothing you going to say magical, mystical that's going to make people change. You know how many classes we've had that I said, man, Israel got it today. They got it. I know they got this class. I know they got this. You know, 12 hours later, brothers are arguing and doing monkey shit at the zone. I'm like, bro, what's wrong with our class? We went over this last night. Brothers are fighting and flinging poo at each other out. I'm going to stop. You get my point. Not real. I'm just being silly. We're going through all the same rituals out of the chaos that is amongst Israel. It's the same ritual chaos. Like, bro, we went up in classes to nullify this chaos.
It's like Batman and Joker, and Joker's always going to be there, and you can never get rid of Joker. God, it's impossible. Well, why
don't
Batman without
Can
Joker?
you just create an Arkham Asylum wing that does not let this guy out?
Who's let him out?
This guy should be like Hannibal Lecter. I just keep him Hannibal Lectered up. I keep him in glass walls and don't let him out at all. He can't have access to anybody in the population.
He gets into a
How many times people got to figure this out?
The nurse drops the key.
Yeah.
Accident.
He talks to a psychiatrist and gets in her head. She lets him out. What's going on here?
I think he's got it.
He's rehabilitated.
Joker's like this. He's getting it, and he gets out and creates some more chaos.
Then he hires goons. I don't know. He has like 20 goons out of nowhere. And they just do his bidding. Anyway, let me stop. Do you understand the situation?
That's the truth.
You're teaching Israel. It takes Israel months and years to figure things out. And they change and fix over time once all the classes over time start to sink in. It's a reminder Israel gets irritable because once again they want to control the narrative. They want to control scenarios. And they just don't want to sit back and be patient. And they don't want to see how long it takes for them to change. People got to change faster than them. We'll go into that. Let's read
verse 20 again.
Let's read verse 20.
Proverbs 29:20. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope of a fool than of him.
Go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha 4 and 29.
29. God. Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 29 reads.
Hold on, let the brother go and type it up.
All right.
Yeah. 4:29 in Apocrypha. Read that, sir.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 4 and verse 29 reads, be not hasty in thy tongue.
Listen, he says, be not hasty in the tongue. We know what the hastiness is. It's rash. It's irritable. It's overly passionate. He says, don't sit back here and be irritable with how you deal with the men around you. Read on.
And in thy deeds, slack and remiss.
But this is what Israel does. We can't stand evil. But we're the authors and insiders of evil and inconsistency. And why do we sit back here and think we can be irritated at other people's sickness and get mad at brothers and sisters that can't fix what's inside of them, but we can't fix what's inside of us? This is what he said. Why are you irritated at another person's sickness when you can't control your sickness? Read it again.
Be not hasty in thy tongue, and in thy deeds slack and remiss.
You're irritated in Israel, but in your actions you slack, and you're backwards, and you're not consistent. You're not dedicated. He's like, don't do that. Don't operate like that. But we are the kings of that. You know, if we ever took the time to realize how slack we are and how flawed we are, if we really considered that, that should help neutralize how irritated we get, how frustrated we get in response to people. When you want to be angry about how long a person ain't trying to change in his rebellion, think about your rebellion. Think about how many times it takes for you to figure things out.
That's neutralizing.
That should neutralize if you had any kind of compassion and understanding. This is why it says we should take time to deliberate and to think before you speak. The scripture says, be ye angry, but what?
Sin not.
So it's one thing to be frustrated and irritated, because that's the flesh. It's another thing to act on that irritation, to speak on that irritation, to communicate with that irritation. That's when we're out of pocket. And that's when the Most High says, listen, bro, your deeds are slack. I've seen you were disrespectful to your elder. Now you're going to sit back, you're hard on crime, but you're disrespectful? That don't make sense. From there, go to Proverbs 11 and 9. And this is for, listen, this is for husbands, because husbands are the kings of this. We want to sit back here and be hard on sisters and hard on sisters and hard on. But you're the most rebellious guy in the camp. But the wickedness, disrespect will not be tolerated in my house, in my residence. What kind of craziness is this, huh?
Women's.
Listen, how dare she? She spoke against me. She spoke against me. This is how men be. She done spoke it against me. How dare her? But you'll sit back here and you're going back and forth with the man over you every day at the zone. What kind of craziness is this? But see, the thing is, they can't see that. So you got some leverage. But not in the spirit. This is why the spirit don't be backing you. The spirit don't honor you. We think we can sit back and play these little games because people don't see you.
Danny Glover's in the spirit.
Danny Glover.
Danny Glover's in the spirit. Danny Glover rolls like that. Most of his
You mean Color Purple Danny Glover, right?
all of them. All the roles. He plays the same character in all the roles.
Well, no, that's not true. He plays good guy roles too. He's not the villain in everything he does.
Predator movie.
He's a hero. I'm thinking, come on, let's just come on. We throwing Danny Glover here in the breakdown, man.
He's a good guy, but he kind of cuts people short.
He does cut people short. But let's continue, man. Let's continue. Let's teach Yeshua, man. Where are we at? We read Proverbs 11 and 9.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 9. It says, a hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor.
That's the point. He says, but once again, we just read in Ecclesiastes 4 and 29, be thou not hasty in thy tongue, meaning irritated in how you talk to people, and in thy deeds slack and remiss. That is a hypocrite. A hypocrite's pissed off at how a person is treating him and how he don't have respect in his home. You want to check about respect, but you don't have respect. That's hypocrisy. Am I right or wrong? That it literally is hypocrisy that's being explained and expressed in Ecclesiastes 4:29. Now let's read Proverbs 11 and 9 again.
Proverbs 11 and 9. A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor.
It destroys his neighbor's desire to trust in equity in the Bible. Because when a brother sees the hypocrisy in you, then it challenges his or her mind and say, should I even serve the Most High? What's the profit of being obedient to the Lord if I got to see this hypocrite tell me I'm off, but he don't got to change and live up to his standard? Doesn't that make a person's path in serving the Lord difficult? You destroy your brother, the student, or the wife because they got to sit back here and see your hypocrisy. See, you're not consistent, you're emotional, you're irritable, but you expect this pristine obedience and discipline and self-control with me? The neighbor is destroyed because their faith in marriage is destroyed. Their faith in brotherhood is destroyed. Their faith in the program is destroyed. Why have so many men over time in Israel left the truth? They couldn't deal with hypocrisy. You're going to push me and ride me to the bone, but I see you make mistakes all day long. You're full of you know what, but you're going to hold me accountable for all these things that I'm not doing. That's how a neighbor is destroyed. You ruin a person's confidence, faith in his work, faith that brotherhood works, faith that the body of Christ works, all those things. Continue.
God, it says, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered.
Through knowledge shall the just be delivered. Let that go. And, well, yeah.
The knowledge is just
the understanding of the scriptures.
The pure message. Without anything else.
But once again, you're putting a lot of pressure on that young neighbor. Because then what happens, the young neighbor got to be super about the Bible, but you don't. This is what makes it hard. Because the young person got to really cleave to the scriptures 10 times more to neutralize in a fight your bad example. And I'm not going to act like this doesn't happen. This is what we all have to do. We have to stay on point despite the BS that we see above us. We've all had to do that. So I'm not going to sit back here and have you play victim that you have to do it. You got to do what you got to do. But it doesn't absolve the irrational or the irritable, rash and hasty brother that has rank. Doesn't change that at all. Let that go and go back to Proverbs 29, verse 21 through 22.
Proverbs 29 and 22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man...
Whoa. 29. Okay, give me verse 21. Salaki.
Come on, verse 21. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at the length.
He says, he that delicately brings up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at the length. Let's look up delicate. I have the definition of delicate says that cannot be handled without injury or danger. That must be touched with care. But that's the one that hits the most in this particular situation, because the way we're supposed to deal with our students, the way we're supposed to deal with our ribs, the way we're supposed to deal with the people that we're responsible for, is you're supposed to correct, you're supposed to teach, but there has to be in the back of your mind a delicate approach that cannot be handled without injury or danger. What does that mean? I got to be, when I'm deliberating on how to deal with this spirit, I have to be conscious of the fact that I could destroy a person, that I could tear down a person. Now we also have to understand that some people take everything as destruction, and you're hurting my spirit. So I'm not trying to act like correction isn't going to feel good. So when it says operate delicately with your student, I'm not saying that you're supposed to counsel and make people feel good all the damn time. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you're counseling, you have to be in the back of your mind conscious that you can destroy the person you got in front of you. And I don't think we think that. The thing about this, it's really important for us who have destructive tendencies. Are you conscious enough about how you carry yourself to realize that you're destructive with your words? Some people are more destructive than others.
It's like kids when they play with little kids. You said in Israel.
Bigger kids.
You said like, okay, you got this little baby toddler spirit, and wants to play with the big boys. The big boys are running at full speed. Like, bro, you realize this little kid right here, bro? The little kid wants to play, but y'all gotta pay attention to him, bro. Y'all can't just run up and down, jump over this little toddler. These groups need to be separated because the kids they're in full force. They're not conscious of their power. That and then the kid runs, and then it eventually happens. You hear the cry.
Yep.
And the kid comes back. And the parents like, don't play with them. They're too big for you.
Yeah.
It's similar.
That's an example, and it's just understanding that I don't think as young men and teachers we're conscious that we're destructive with how we communicate. I don't think we really think about that enough. We're not conscious that our words pierce and are destructive. And if you take the time to understand that about yourself, then you got to sit back and say, okay, the words I say can be very piercing, be very cold and destructive. And now, if I know my words can be destructive, I have to be conscious that my words can hurt and destroy a person that's trying to grow. And if I think about that, then maybe I'll choose the best way to not destroy. This is how we have to learn to deal with one another. You think about all the thinking that it comes into counseling and teaching. This is not just reaction and pulling verses. That's the understanding of all this. You have to treat your servant, your student, your wife, and treat them delicately. Having a conscience that, hey man, I can't destroy this spirit. I have to build this spirit. I mean, he says if you do it the right way. Think about this. They say if you're developing your servant the right way from a child, you'll have them become his son at the length. You know what kind of counselor you are based upon how much value and appreciation your wife has for you. You'll know what kind of teacher and counselor you are based on how much men appreciate and respect you and value what you bring to the table. The issue is, if you don't have brothers coming around you and value and appreciate you, it lets you know what kind of a counselor you are. You're a tyrant. If you got your household and your wife is afraid to speak to you, you're running your household like shit. And you're a tyrant in your house. Because the person that you're responsible for should look at you like this servant is talking about looks at the teacher as his son. For when it says, read that verse again.
Proverbs 29 and 21. He that delicately bringeth up his servant from a child.
So if this brother delicately develops his brother or his wife, read on.
From a child shall have him become his son at the length.
That means the more you put into this servant, they will want to be associated with you even more. Huh? Yeah, you'll win that spirit, and they'll want to cleave to you and be that son. If you're developing the right way, if you're counseling properly, if your counsel is measured and deliberate and thought out, the person that you're investing into, will never want to leave you. Will sit back and give their entire spirit to you, and will run through a brick wall for you. That's how you know you've delicately dealt with them. But if you aren't delicate with them and you're destructive, they're going to just do the basic necessities and get the hell out of the way from you. That's how you know what kind of a man you are and what kind of a counselor you are. Same thing with sisters who have elder sister status. If all a sister wants to do is say Khan and La'a and yes ma'am and I did this and want to get the hell away from you, that's your fault as the elder. That's not the younger person's fault. You haven't nurtured the spirit of developing and being delicate with them. So if you're not going to be delicate with them, why are they going to sit back here and go above and beyond for you? They're not. People can tell when they're being bullied and used. People know when they're being used. You can't sit back here and front on that. You can't fake that. So it's very important to operate delicately when you're developing the people that you're responsible for. Delicate to think about the right words to say, the right relationship to have, the right things that got to come out of this conversation. What should be nurtured in this relationship? If you're not taking that time to think, this is why men stay away from you. This is why this is a kind of la'a relationship. Read on.
Verse 22. An angry man stirreth up strife, and a furious man aboundeth in transgression.
Khan. So, going back to verse 18, it's just a reminder. Give me verse 18 again.
Khan. Verse 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish.
So listen, the people perish because there's no example. People perish because there's no example, not words. I've said this in class before. You can say all the words in the world. It's not going to make somebody change. How you are every day. The level of time and effort you put into communication. You put in trying to lift the person around you. Develop the person around you. That's the vision people need. If the vision they see is your inconsistency every day, your emotion, your irritability, the people perish because they see your irritable nature. People perish and they dry out because they see your poor example. They see your inconsistency. That's what it means when there's no vision, people perish. The vision is your conduct. How you carry yourself. That's what people are feeding off of. Not your words, your actions. Read that verse. Verse 18.
Come, verse 18. Proverbs 29 and 18. Where there is no vision, the people perish.
Mm-hmm.
But he that keepeth the law, happy is he.
If you keep the law, the people are going to be happy too. And the individual. Let that go. And go to Matthew 5, and verse 21 and 22. Now, if there's something you want to go on, you can throw them in there. Now, I mean, we're going to get that, huh?
It's not going to add anything. It's just be saying to you. Matthew 5,
21 to 22.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 21.
Let me get there. Matthew 5, verse 21 and 22. Matthew 5, and 21 and 22.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment.
Done. So that's what the law of Moses said, thou shalt not kill. And we know that it's not fighting for your nation, but it's killing your brother. We were not allowed to do that. So read on. But now Christ is going to sit back here and up the ante, because that's what Christ always did. Christ sat back here and took the law of Moses as the beginning foundation for us to operate with one another. And then he sat back here and cut out all the loopholes that the Pharisees in Israel used to justify their negative and their evil. So Matthew 5 and 21 is what?
Matthew 5 and 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother.
Stop. Whosoever is irritated with his brother. Whosoever is rash with his brother. Whosoever is hasty with his brother. You're still that. Why would it says, whosoever is angry with his brother, read on.
Without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah.
Rakah just means fool. Rakah just means fool. And what does fool mean? I'm just disgusted with it. It's really disgust and disdain with one another. He's saying if you're in the spirit of disdain and hatred towards the people that you work with and you see every day, read on.
Shall be in danger of the council.
Mm-hmm.
But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire.
Fool and rock is the same thing. What are we supposed to extract from this? What we're supposed to extract is if there's disdain and disgust for the people that you work with, you're in danger of the council and hellfire. We don't have a clear, justifiable reason to see the worst in the man next to us. Just because a man sins and is weak and is emotionally flawed is not a justifiable reason to call him a fool and to have disdain in your heart towards him. But that same disdain is what fuels us when we're irritated with one another. He's telling you, you're in danger of not making the kingdom if I can easily find it in me to hate the person next to me. There's no reason in hell that we should sit back here and hate the person next to us, because nobody's committing adultery amongst one another. Nobody's sitting back here doing things that will make a man want to sit back here and be violent with him. Nobody's doing that. None of us have a justified reason to have that level of hatred amongst us. So whether it's literal, he's saying literal words are representations of what? How we really feel about people. Listen, we got to stop sitting back here and using the excuse, oh, I was just upset today. It's a lot. Yeah, I was just pissed off, man. I got kind of hot-headed and I said some things that I didn't want to say. We better watch out with that, because we say things out of season because it's inside of us. It's in our heart to say these negative, hateful things. And we better learn to control that. Because if you don't control that, you're in danger of the council, you're in danger of judgment, the council, and hellfire. If we can't figure out how to see the good in our people when they're sick, we better be able to find this. We better be able to see the good in them and be patient and not be full of judgment and wrath. Read verse 20.
Verse 20. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven.
And he's telling you this. This is what the Pharisees did. They knew the law back and forth, and they had a disdain for the sick. They had a hate for Israel who couldn't figure it out. And because we had a hate for Israel that couldn't figure it out, those Pharisees were in danger of hellfire too. And we can't follow into those people's patterns, our forefathers' patterns. We better, if brothers are frustrating and they're slow to figuring things out and they're just immature, then you know what? We better find a way to let it go and not let irritation break us and weaken us for our salvation's sake. We better work hard to control our emotions and our hatred. I don't think it gets any deeper than that. Proverbs 21, verse 5.
Proverbs 21 and verse 5.
Listen. There's a reason when Christ was being crucified and when he was crucified and he was sold out by the elites. Christ kept saying, "Forgive them for what? They know not what they do." He wouldn't sit back here and cuss people out and getting vexed. He fought to maintain his composure and didn't take the sickness and the betrayal personal. We better practice learning how not to take sickness and betrayal personal ourselves. Read that, Proverbs 21 and verse 5. Yeah, you got it.
Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 5.
Wait a minute, I think I got that wrong. Yeah, that's the wrong verse. No, I put it the wrong verse. Slacky. Let's go to the next one. Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 verse 14, 15, and 17.
Right. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 14.
So this is dealing with counsel, dealing with understanding men, understanding sisters, understanding why people do what they do. This goes back to earlier when we were talking about in class about having the ability to deliberate. And deliberate is opposite of being rash.
Yeah.
We were saying rash, hasty, was all about being irritable and overly passionate and having our feelings and emotions dictate how we deal with one another. Now let's read Ecclesiastes 9 and verse 14.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 14. As near as thou canst.
As good as you possibly can do this. As detailed as you can become. Read on.
Guess at thy neighbor and consult with the wise.
Guess at thy neighbor. Fight your tail off to understand why they do what they do. Let's get that definition of guess. The definition of guess means to judge or form an opinion. Read that one.
Guess, 1828 Webster Dictionary, point number 2. To judge or form an opinion from some reasons that render a thing probable.
He says you have to sit back here and figure out why a brother or sister would say what they say. And he says, to judge or form an opinion from some reasons that render a thing probable, but far short of sufficient evidence, from slight circumstances or occasional expressions. What does that mean? To guess, that means you really have to do some homework. You really have to do some analyzing and some thinking about why a person would do the things that they do. Really taking the time to understand why a person thinks and how they tick. But the important part about this verse isn't just guessing, because a lot of us guess. A lot of us guess about why people do what they do. But the problem is we guess with an evil, hateful heart. So we guess wrong. Read that verse again, verse 14.
Ecclesiastes 9 and 14. As near as thou canst, guess at thy neighbor and consult with the wise.
You see how he says when you're trying to understand why a person does what they do, you're supposed to guess and consult with the wise. What brothers do, they'll guess, have negative viewership of guessing, and don't talk to nobody, and don't let no counselor check their thoughts. Hold this. Think about this. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and 14 is saying that we should guess at our neighbor. But, hold that, and go to Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 16.
God.
We're going to go back to this other one. Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 16. Read that. So, one verse says we should guess about our neighbor. The other verse says what?
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 9 and verse 16 reads, and hardly do we guess aright.
Well, which one do we do?
And hardly.
Hold on. Listen. One verse says we always guess wrong. But the verse in Ecclesiastes says make sure you guess about your neighbor. That's the missing ingredient. You're supposed to guess first and then go to your elder to make sure that your whack guess actually makes sense. But that's what men don't do. Men don't sit back here and make an assumption about brothers or sisters and then sit back here and go to counsel and say, hey, is my thought about this brother correct? Is how I look at this sister correct? Brothers don't do that. Brothers sit back here and make evil and wicked judgments on brothers, and they internalize that and they form their opinion and their belief system off their negative guess. The scripture, we're supposed to sit back here and guess, but have somebody teach us how to properly guess at a person's spirit with somebody who has superior experience in you. Yes.
You say one thing. With that, what happens often is there's an offense that happens between the two of the people that the person with the more rank or experience never ever talks about, and that offense that they had, they took it too personal, and they took it more personal than they should have.
Good.
And because they took it more personal than they should have, now there's this whole situation.
But all those experiences is what builds up to have your opinion of them.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
But once again, this is the situation. If I'm talking to an elder, I'm supposed to tell them everything. And let them say, hey, how you looking at this is wrong. How you looking at that is wrong. How you looking at the whole thing is wrong. This is how you should look. This is how you should learn how to guess. People don't realize young leaders and young men have to learn how to guess. Brothers don't know how to guess. Sisters don't be learning how to guess. So they sit back here and they establish their guesses off of emotion and pride and ego and negative opinions, and they wonder why the Spirit ain't with them. So we're supposed to take the time to guess, to understand what would probably be the reason why a person would move the way they move and think the way they think and act the way they think. But then you have to have somebody scourge your thoughts like the Bible says. Scourge your guesses. Scourge how you process and evaluate the people around you. But men don't do that because men got too much pride. So do sisters. They want to hold on to secret, wicked opinions about people and look at people the wrong way because they choose to do so. But all of these methods and approaches should help you from operating with an irritable, hasty, and rash reaction to the people that you work with every day. Hold this and go to Proverbs 12 and 15. We're going back to this verse. Proverbs 12 and 15.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. Whenever you're ready.
Let's do it.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
A fool thinks his guesses are correct. A fool thinks that his perception of brotherhood and the people around him is correct. This is why you sit back here and say, where'd you get that thought from? Trust me, I know. No, you don't know nothing. Your quote-unquote knowledge of something is foolish. You're an idiot that has a negative perception on a brother and a circumstance, and you hold that strong and wonder why there's constant confrontation between you and another person. Because you're not humble enough to let a person scourge your thinking, or challenge how you process things. There's a lot of work as we're learning. It's a labor-intensive process to learn how to counsel people. It's a labor-intensive process to figure out how to operate delicately with the person you're responsible for dealing with. If you're going to operate delicately with a spirit, you better have somebody show you why a person does those things they do, and how to look at a person and a circumstance spiritual versus looking at it carnally. If you have any type of hopes of mastering what's inside of you and being good for that sister and that brother or that child that you're responsible for. Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus 9 and verse 14.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 and verse 14. As near as thou canst, guess at thy neighbor, and consult with the wise.
So he says, as much as you can, guess at your neighbor. Judge, form an opinion from some reasons that render a thing probable, but fall short of sufficient evidence. There's a lot of times you might think something about a person, but it might not be that. But you have to at least get yourself to the point where you have a couple of ideas about why a person does what they do. Throw those reasons and motivations to an elder and let them think on it too. Let them muse on it. And let them say, no, that's not them. I've known them longer than you. That's not their character. and let time sit back and fill in the rest. This is how you learn how to properly understand and engage people. A lot of times we counsel people, we attack brothers and sisters that we really don't understand. We don't understand why people do what they do. There was a scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin where the guy said, listen, man, you're saying a lot of big words. I'm going to take these big words as disrespect. Watch your mouth. Listen, what was he saying? He didn't understand the motivation behind the words that the man was saying. But because he didn't understand the words, and he chose to take it as it was offensive. And he was about to fight this guy in the TV radio shack. Because he took the words completely out of context because he didn't understand the words. It happened. It was a great scene. It was a great scene.
That's your boy.
And then the guy was like, listen, you want to see a nigga? Nigga here now. Nigga's here. Nigga's here now. Now we're going to fight.
Yeah.
Because you took it there.
Yeah.
But what's the point? The point is, we do this in counsel. We don't know why the brother said what he said. We don't know what he's going through. We really don't even know how a person processes information, but we're going to take it as it's an offense, an attack against me. Be disrespectful and be out of order. But I'm out of order and I'm reactionary, but I don't even understand the action in the first place. But I'm going to automatically take it as it's an attack against me, and I think Christ is with me with that type of thinking. This is why we read earlier in the scriptures that we're brutish, and that brutish thinking man and woman only knows how to do what? Destroy. This is why every time you'll see a sister that a situation might look uncomfortable to her, see, you're looking at that girl over there. You want another woman, don't you? Why does everything I do make me think like I'm trying to get a second rib? That's brutish thinking. I don't understand why you're doing this, or why you said shalom to that sister, so I'm going to assume you want her. You want her. Brothers are the same thing. You want that guy in that music video, don't you? I see how you looking at that calendar. I see how you looking at him on this. Well, why are you watching this show? Why are you watching this damn show all the time? What is it about you watching this goddamn show? I know what it is. You want that nigga, don't you? Brothers have done that before. I have been in the presence of men doing that. They're like, damn, how do you know this? Maybe she's interested in the show. No, I know. No, it ain't. I know what she's thinking. Damn, really? And listen, and even if you sit back here and ban her from the show, does that mean she's going to not want the next person she sees on the line? That's going to fix the issue, is banning her from the television show? That's what brothers do, though. Listen, that behavior doesn't get somebody to want to serve you more. It doesn't. That's crazy. And that's extreme. But I've seen men do it. I've seen women do it. Everything that doesn't make sense to me makes me feel insecure and makes me think you're cheating on me. Those are people that are not guessing right. And what sisters and brothers that should be doing, they should be sitting out here asking elder sisters, is this line of thinking correct? Is this correct thinking? And then you should let a person say, hell no, that's not spiritual thinking. You're looking at this completely wrong. But people don't do that. They hold on to what they feel, and they stick to it, and they want to believe it, so they just believe it. And they don't bring it up to other people for it to be challenged. Because they want to feel insecure. They want to be angry. They want to have this anger in them. We're really sick people, man. We're really, really sick people. The scripture says, hardly do we guess aright. That's what Wisdom of Solomon 9:16 says. If the scriptures say we hardly guess aright, why do we depend on it so much? Why do we feed our perception so much when the Bible says most of the time how we look at things are wrong? That's a real question. Then why do we lean on it so much? Why don't we sit back here and divulge these crazy, sicko thoughts to people who can clear up your thoughts. That's how you properly guess aright. Read verse 14 again.
Ecclesiastes 9:14. As near as thou canst, guess at thy neighbor, and consult with the wise.
You still have to consult with the wise after you come up with your deduction. Who does that? Do sisters do that with elder sisters? Nope. Do brothers do it with their leaders? Nope. And they wonder why there's delusion after delusion after delusion, after destructive conversation, after a brutish destructive argument, a brutish destructive argument at the house with your wife. It's always something brutish, most of the time, based on poor guesses, the wrong perception of a situation. Why does one marriage have to jump from one improper looking at something to another improper perception, to another improper perception, to another improper perception? That's chaos, and that's confusion. Verse 14, what's that?
I was gonna say, before I used to, guess wrong, and the brother told me if you listen to them, they'll either tell them themselves or they'll give you all the information you need if you just listen first.
Mm-hmm. Done. But you have to listen without being biased.
Yeah.
We listen with an already prepared idea of what they are.
Yep.
If you come into a council saying a person's a liar, guess what? They're a liar. I knew you were a liar. What? You came into the conversation thinking he was a liar. There's nothing this person can do to not incriminate himself because you already determined in your brain he's a liar. Am I lying? I'm not lying. So your answer is correct if you come into a conversation with an open slate. And then after you come in with an open slate, then you go back to your elder and let them see, hey, is this the right way of looking at things or not? The truth is, it's still an uncomfortable feeling. You don't know, so get off your ass and make a phone call and get some understanding. If you want relationships to work, if you want the relationship at home to work, if you want the man that you're responsible for to respond to you better, make the call, get the counsel, get the clarity versus guessing wrong. Verse 14 again. Why do we keep going over this? Because this happens a lot.
Yeah.
This happens a lot in marriages, in a camp.
It's common folly.
This is common folly. Brothers and sisters be guessing wrong. Why? Because we trust the flesh. We trust our feelings. Is that Jeremiah 17:5? What's it say? You're a fool that trusts the flesh. It says, make it flesh his arm.
Yeah.
What does it say about it? Is it foolish? I just want to gloss it. It says,
Won't a man?
Cursed is the man that trusts in man and makes flesh his arm.
Yep, that's it.
Listen, you're cursed when you sit back here. Because it says the heart's deceitful above all things.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 17:9 says the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So your guessing acumen is desperately wicked and deceitful. How you guess, how you process things is completely wrong. But you call it your gut. And your gut never sits back here and leads you astray. Yes, it does. Your intuition, your female intuition, and your gut is la diabla. That's not. I don't know if that was said wrong or I don't know, but it was evil. Okay, your intuition is rye. Hebrew. It's rye. It's evil.
Yeah.
It's not good. What he's saying, the scriptures say that you have to learn how to guess by carefully taking time to understand a situation and then bringing that idea to your elder for them to filter if your thinking is correct. And that's how you learn to guess properly. Now I'll go to verse 15.
God. Verse 15. Let thy talk be with the wise.
So he says your conversation, your strategy, your understanding about situations, your understanding, your how you are digesting and receiving another person's vibration. How does this conversation go? How does this interaction go? Your conversation about these interactions should be with the what? The wise. Not the girl or the sister who has been in the truth as long as you have. You know how many times brothers and sisters always go counsel with their peers versus going up with their counsels? Because if I talk to my peer, I won't get judged. And I have a better chance of somebody telling me I'm right.
Yep.
We're supposed to sit back here and communicate how we're processing interactions with our brothers and sisters, with elder sisters, so they can sit back here and teach me how to think spiritually. Because the world, however long we've been in the world, 20, 30, whatever years, we've never learned how to look at things spiritually. We're babes in the spirit. So we have to be retaught how to look at things, and you got to do that with the wise. Read on, read verse 15 again.
God says, let thy talk be with the wise, and all thy communication in the law of the Most High.
All your communication should be predicated on how the law wants us to talk, how the scriptures want us to talk, how the word wants us to talk. Continue.
God,
Give me verse 17.
Okay, verse 17. For the hand of the artificer, the work shall be commended.
He says, for the hand of the artificer, meaning the person who works on stone items and clay items, the person who works with his hands, it says, the work shall be commended. Read on.
God. And the wise ruler of the people for his speech.
Listen, if you're a good ruler, if you're a wise ruler, you'll be known by how diplomatic you can communicate, by how well you can communicate, how well you can inspire, how well you can motivate people to be the best version of themselves they can be. This is how a ruler should be judged. But a lot of times, we are supposed to be leaders. We are leaders in training. So we need to learn how to adjust our speech to inspire and not to destroy like the brutish man does. The brutish man is excellent at destroying. We have to learn how to be a wise ruler that uplifts with our message. Let that verse go. And go to, let's read verse 18, 32 and 18. No. I'm sorry. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 32, verse 19 and 18. Ecclesiastes 32, verse 19 and 18.
Ecclesiastes
19 and 18.
Yeah, that was on purpose. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
chapter 32, verse 19.
Semicolon.
Ready when you are.
Yeah. Let's push the save, man. If you want to do that, it's up to you. Oh, he did? It happened.
It's got to be something.
It doesn't have to.
It's complete thought, but it's not complete thought.
Okay. So be it.
Ecclesiastes 32 and 19. Do nothing without advice.
He's telling you, do nothing without advice. You don't sit back here and form an idea about the student that you're having to work with without advice. You don't sit back here and form an opinion about your rib without throwing it at another person's mind to see what he thinks. Do nothing without advice, especially making judgments on people without advice. This will save you from destroying relationships and destroying the people that you're working with. Do nothing without advice. Read verse 18 now.
Come on, verse 18. A man of counsel will be considerate.
Hold on. A man of counsel will be considerate. The definition of considerate means given to consideration or to sober reflection. The thing about sober reflection, that means non-biased reflection. This is why it says do nothing without advice. Because the only way a lot of times to get sober reflection is you have to lean on somebody who is not caught up and engaged in the actual battle to give you sober answers. A lot of times we're so involved in the matter, you're not going to be able to look at things with a clear mind. So you need a third party that's not involved in the situation to help give you sober reflection. Sober reflection isn't a natural thing that we tap into. Most of the time, our reflection is the opposite of sober. It's drunk as hell. It's biased as hell. How we reflect is based on what a person said and did to me and how they made me feel. If you're focused on how a person makes you feel, that's not sober reflection. If I'm focused on how a person talked to me, if they're disrespectful, if they sat back here and they're not listening to me, that's not sober reflection. Sober reflection is a non-biased view of the situation. And because a lot of us are young in the spirit, young in our understanding, it takes many years to learn what sober reflection looks like. That is a trait that needs to be developed. You had a hand up?
Yes, sir. With sober reflection, you like looking at yourself like maybe something I said made him respond that way.
That's a part of it. It's part of that, and it's also sober reflection is properly evaluating the person you're dealing with. If I have a proper understanding of the person I'm dealing with face to face, then I'll know what to say to maintain the relationship or to build relationship. A lot of times we don't understand the person we're working with and we run them off. Or we're hitting and missing with the message we're bringing to the table. And a lot of times in order to have a sober reflection, you have to have somebody who actually knows them better or who understands counsel better and understands the spirit of dealing with people better. Then you can get a better perception of a situation, look at it better, and respond accordingly. Okay?
Advisor?
Yes, an advisor. Mm-hmm. So, read on in that verse. Verse 18.
Ecclesiastes 32:18. A man of counsel will be considerate.
Considerate again is given to consideration or to sober reflection, thoughtful, hence serious, circumspect, careful, discreet, prudent, not hasty or rash, not negligent. So once again, it takes a lot of thought to be considerate. It takes a lot of self-reflection to be considerate. It takes self-reflection, it takes counsel, it takes real work on yourself to have a proper perception of another person. Because in order to sit back here and to be thoughtful about who? The person I'm dealing with. In order to be thoughtful, can I be angry and be thoughtful at the same time?
No.
Can I have ego in the mix? Can I be offended and be thoughtful at the same time? You can't do it. You have to remove all that crap out of you for the right type of thinking to actually happen for the next person. And you sit back here and be careful and discreet if you're emotional, if you're uncomfortable, if you've been offended. How can you be prudent and not negligent if you're flowing with all this emotion and illness towards the person around you? So he's letting you know there's a lot of work we have to put into eliminating what's inside of us to have a clear perspective and a considerate perspective to the people we're responsible for every single day. This is why we have to study and read and stay in the scriptures to answer the brothers around us properly, to respond to the men around us better. This is why it's always better to call a general or call a captain before you react and snap at the person that just pissed you off. Before you sit back and react or snap to the person who was just disrespectful to you. It's very important to do that. Okay. Now let's go to Ecclesiasticus 33. and 4.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 33, verse 4 reads, prepare what to say, and so thou shalt be heard.
He's telling you this. You have to prepare what you are going to say before you say it. But when you're going to prepare what you're going to say before you say it, you better make sure you're circumspect. You better be considerate. You better be careful, discreet, prudent, sober reflection. That's how you prepare what to say. Preparing what to say isn't about just how you arrange your words. It's what spirit I'm in when I'm arranging these words. Have I gotten over me and gotten over how I feel about this person, or how angry I am with this person, how irritated I am with this person, before I start communicating in response? This is how you learn how to counsel without being emotional. That's the title of the class. How to counsel, how to help, how to develop your people without being too emotionally strong one way or the other. Okay? Let that verse go. We'll go to Titus chapter 2. Verse 2 and then 6 through 8.
Titus chapter 2, verse 2.
Give me some spirit in there. Titus 2, verse 2.
6 through 8.
6 and 8, yeah. Read that.
Titus chapter 2, verse 2. It says that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith.
So we're talking about the aged men and their responsibility to be sober and clear and sound in faith. There's responsibility for the elders to carry themselves in a certain way. Read on.
It says sound in faith, in charity, in patience.
Now let's jump to verse 6.
Verse 6. It says, young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded.
So our job is to exhort young men to be sober-minded as well. Our job is to exhort, develop, motivate, and to teach young men how to be clear-minded. And that's the work. The work is, okay, the young man has to communicate to the older man about all the filth in their mind. The ranking man has to teach sober-mindedness. You can't be sober-minded, like we were going into the definition of considerate. You can't be sober-minded or sober reflection if all this emotion and feeling is wrapped into your mind. The elder man is supposed to help teach the younger man how to remove all that emotion and that pride and ego so you can sit back here and soberly handle anything that's presented to you. Read on.
Verse 7. In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works.
So once again, on top of teaching a young man how to be sober-minded so he can counsel and respond and teach better and deliver the message better, that aged man is also supposed to teach that young man how to develop a pattern of good works. Because if you have a pattern of good works, the good works is the best way to teach the other person how to operate. You have to teach a young person. You have to teach a young person that your best weapon isn't how many push-ups you can make a man drop. It isn't how loud you can yell. The best thing you can teach a young man is how to outwork the person under him. That's your greatest weapon when you're trying to teach and develop somebody. Can you show a greater and more consistent pattern of good works than the person that's under you? If you can show that pattern of good works that's superior to the student, now your words will be easier to be received and processed, as long as your words are based upon having a sober mind when you deliver them. Does that make sense? Read on.
In doctrine, showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity.
In everything you do, you have to show uncorruptness. Gravity is just balanced, collected thinking, level-headed thinking, and then sincerity in your works. These are the things that get people to listen. We want to sit back and think bullying and talking loud and getting emotional and getting angry is how you get people to lock in. That's not how you get people to lock in. People lock into you when they see your consistency, your sincerity, and your uncorruptness, and your patterns of good works. And in your communication, you're clear and sound in your mind and your thinking and your responses. That's how people follow you. That's how people lock into you. And this is what the aged men in verse 2, their responsibility is to get young men to see. When you start getting patches and different ranks and all this, we want to sit back and flex and flex and flex and flex. That's not how you win trust and respect and allegiance. And if we learn this, we can get so much further with the brotherhood. We can get so much further in the work that we do for the Lord. If we learn what it takes to get brothers to sit back here and follow. Evil and brutish communication and behavior doesn't work. It slows down everything. Continue.
Verse 8. Sound speech that cannot be condemned.
That's the point. When all these other things are factoring on your side, good works, sober-minded, uncorruptness, gravity, and sincerity, then sound speech isn't going to be easily attacked and condemned. Half the time, when men aren't trying to fight their battle, all they're going to do is point out your immaturity, your emotional responses, your overreactions, your inconsistencies in your work. Aren't those the reasons people don't change? I saw you do this, but you're not supposed to do this. I saw you overreact here. I saw you sit back here and not be a man of your word. If we sit back here and focus on fixing those things, then our actions and our words won't be condemned. They won't be checked and attacked. This is how you win your wife and your household. This is how you win your children. And this is how you win men. What verse are we? Did we read verse 8 again? Finish verse 8.
It's a sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed.
So he says, the person that's the younger man is operating contrary to what they're supposed to be taught. Because let's not get around the fact, when you are on point, it doesn't change the fact that young men are going to be young men, they're going to be rebellious. But if you want young men or your wife to fix things and change things in themselves, the more you're on point, the more you're consistent and you're composed, the greater you have an opportunity to make them feel ashamed by your superior conduct. He says to people that are operating contrary-wise will be ashamed, or they have a greater probability of them being ashamed when there's nothing they can say against you. There's nothing negative they can throw in your face to justify their bad behavior. Now they got to see themselves more and be accountable for their. You know what pisses a young officer off more than anything is this. When a young officer is checking the young man about his conduct, and then the young man says, well, I saw you do this. That's why I didn't do it. Then the young officer wants to sit back here and fire him up more and make him do push-ups. The answer is to do what? Okay, I'm going to eliminate his excuse from here on out. We don't like that. We don't like the reality that we have to sit back here and perfect our conduct in order for a younger man to change. We hate that. Who wants to deal with that? I got to be 100% perfect. I got to be He-Man out here in order for you to sit back here and be basically respectful. Basic respect. You know, in order for you to have basic humility, I have to be the perfect man. The answer is yes. And we don't like that. They were, this is bull. This is bull. This is wicked. Okay, whatever you want to say, get it out. My job is to let you say all those, like those cartoons. Sucker and succotash. Go ahead and say sucker and succotash, Shaq. Yeah. Like in Pink Panther, the guy was angry at mumbling. Mumble, be mad all you want. Get it out and do the things you gotta do to change and fix what's inside of you so this person has no more excuses. Huh?
That was muddy.
Mudley?
For wacky racing.
I think there's a lot of those cartoons like go ahead and do it.
That's Tom and Jerry.
It was Pink Panther too. It was Pink Panther. It was all those characters. They were always like mutter under their breath, huh? What there was more of a wah thing, but that was the parents giving them instructions. They couldn't understand what the instructions were. Because the parents were doing like, it's like, what are they saying up here? And that's what the kids didn't give a damn what the parents were saying. That's when it was in a walk voice. But listen, when we're telling people, listen, in order to get this brother to change, eliminate this out of your life. This is why Paul said, I will no longer eat meat if meat offends my what? That's the thinking. Let me eliminate anything that's going to get this man to want to quit and be weak. That's what servitude looks like. But we get angry, and then we start snapping and being irritable because brothers want to sit back here and make your life miserable because they don't want to change. That's the carnal way we look at things. But the Most High brings weaker spirits around you to inspire you to operate and do the things you're supposed to do. Because if you didn't have this person looking at you and spying you like a hawk, would you sit back here and max yourself out? That's the point. How about that? You're not going to max yourself out unless you have the skeptic next to you. So really the skeptic is a blessing. Do we look at things like that? Do we look at it that way, the right way? The skeptic and the carnal person is a blessing from God. Because without the skeptic, you're not going to max yourself out. And you're not going to cleave to the Father without the skeptic. So you need the skeptic to improve your conduct. And that's the spiritual way to look at it. Yes, Cry?
I was going to say, you say it all the time, you know what I'm saying? The Most High will send you these people to reveal what's already inside of you.
God.
But
because you see that person will somebody say, oh, I saw you do this, I saw you do that, I saw you do this, okay, then I won't do that no more. Now what's your excuse for being rebellious? Then there's no more excuse to be rebellious. You just want to be rebellious. But you got to sit back here and fix everything in you to get them to that point. Yes.
And you know what I'm learning?
And that's where it says, in verse 8, where it says that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed. He'll be ashamed once you eliminate all his BS malarkey excuses. What was you going to say?
No, I was going to say, what I like what you're saying is too, what I'm learning is the Most High, he's trying to work on both parties.
Yes.
The person that's
the quote-unquote ranking guy?
Yeah.
And the gainsayer.
Yeah. The excuse man and the one that's trying to at least...
That's playing chief. Has the chief hat on. Yeah. Listen, trying to play Hefe ain't easy. Listen, trying to be the husband, listen, it's not just I want the big piece of chicken. There's got to be more to it than that. Serve me first, woman. I am the husband. That's all it's got to be at. That's all it's got to be at. It's not it at. You have to outperform. That's what it takes. And when a person is looking at you, eliminate why they're looking at you. And then what's your excuse? Now what is your excuse for not being an order? Then that's the best chance that they will be ashamed of their conduct.
Yeah.
And cleave back to the Most High. Anyway. Read the end of read verse 8 again.
Titus 2:8. It says, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you.
The only way you're going to get a contrary person and not see evil in you and not speak evil in you is if you eliminate your evil. Then what can they say? Then it's just me. I'm the negative person. And if they don't accept it, they can leave. Then they can kick rocks. But you can't be telling folks to kick rocks and all this shit if you're full of crap.
Right.
That's the point. You can't be a hypocrite and have a bunch of things you've slacked on in your spirit, but you checking people with 10,000 times fire eye, 1,000 degree fire, or 10,000 degree fire eye.
With all impunity.
With all impunity, all fire and brimstone eye. But you ain't changed what's inside of you. That's the problem. And that's how we stay humble and we stay blameless in Christ. Okay, from there, go to Ephesians 4 and 29.
Alright.
Ephesians 4 and 29.
Alright. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
If you look at the definition of corrupt, it says no poor quality or unfit for use communication should come out of our mouth. If we're the leaders that we say we are, then we should stop sitting back here and bringing out poor quality content out. Poor quality communication, low level communication. Because that's what corrupt conversation is. That's what corrupt communication is. It's poor quality. That means we're supposed to carry ourselves with a certain level of self-discipline and control and restraint. And whenever we sit back here and lower ourselves based upon how another person talks, it just shows what kind of level you're on. Yes, sir.
Definition of corrupt.
Okay.
Corrupt, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. It says, to debase or render impure.
Yeah.
It says, to falsify.
The problem is we have based communication. Yeah. Our communication is based when we're emotional. We're cussing every 5 minutes. Our first reaction is to get somebody to drop because I just don't have the mental discipline to sit back here and communicate somebody in the book how they have to change. Then we're short with our words and we're frustrated and we're pissed and we're huffing and puffing. Yeah. He says eliminate that corrupt communication. What else you got?
It says to pervert, to falsify, to infect with errors.
That's the point. Our communication with one another are infected with errors. Yeah. Pride, ego, selfishness, irritability, the lack of willingness to listen. Stop infecting your communication with all this filth and figure out how to properly communicate and to properly convey a message one to another. The burden and responsibility is not on the person who is contrary. The burden and responsibility to have uncorrupted communication is on the leader. The lower ranking man is going to be full of crap and make a bunch of mistakes. The burden to be a better man is on the person that has that rank on their shoulder, on their chest. Can we live up to the rank we have and learn poise and discipline and self-control when we talk to one another? If not, we're no different than the weakest of the men. We went into that last week in Corinthians. If your conversation is going to be worldly, you might as well get the person who's least esteemed in the camp and let him run it. If that's how you're going to roll. Are we going to sit back here and operate like our job has real meaning or not? And carry ourselves like our office has value or not? Read it again, verse 29.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth.
Corrupt communication can't come out of your mouth. Read on.
But that which is good.
The only thing that should be coming out of your mouth is what?
It says, but that which is good to the use of edifying.
Listen, if it's not about teaching a lesson, then there's no reason you should be talking. We talk out of emotion and anger and disgust and emotions and irritability, and not about edifying and teaching. If in the back of my mind is what I'm going to say going to teach, or I'm just going to be pissed off and I'm vexed and I want to respond because I'm vexed, that should slow you down right there. If your message isn't edifying, then shut your mouth. until your message can be edifying. Let that go. No, read on.
Verse 30. And grieve.
No, did he finish verse 29? That it may minister?
Okay. It says, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers.
He says that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Grace means goodwill and kindness. The message should minister goodwill and kindness to whoever who is listening to this message. If your message doesn't have goodwill and good intent, then don't say nothing. So the Most High destroys that part of us that wants to call a person a rocker or a fool. If there's nothing edifying or there's no goodwill intent behind the message, say nothing until you have the time to collect your thoughts to bring something out uplifting or edifying. Let that verse go and go to Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha 7, verse 19 through 23. This is a good one. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 19 to 23.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 19.
Hold on. I think it's the Bible. Salaki. No. It's not. Come on. This is not the verse. I think I could find it though. Damn it. 17. Oh man, I need this one. It talks about how you can't focus on every word of a servant.
If you're not really,
Don't have wrath.
Yeah.
That's not unless not here.
Yeah.
Not here.
721?
Cursed.
Okay, well, it's not 19 then. Okay.
721. Take no heed unto all words that are spoken.
Wait, what verse is it?
Ecclesiastes in the Bible?
In the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay, it was in the Bible. Okay. Cool. I was tripping, man. You sure it's in the Bible?
Yeah.
I thought it was in the Apocrypha. I was tripping.
There is something like that, though.
There is something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Ecclesiastes 4.
No, it's not it.
No, don't have wrath. Don't be quick to wrath with your servant or every word. I'll find it while y'all go over that one. I know where it's at.
Okay, let's get this one. Ecclesiastes 7 and verse.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's not. This is probably it.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes 7 and 21.
I want 19. I do want 19.
Come.
And we're gonna do 19 to 23.
Come, 19. Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 7, verse 19. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men which are in the city.
Read on.
For there is not a just man upon the earth that doeth good.
This is an important thing. There is not a just man upon the earth that doeth good. Read on.
And sinneth not.
So why are we sitting back here so angry that another person is sinning? Why do we get so angry at other people's sins when there is not another person on earth who doesn't sin, including yourself? And if I can be conscious of the fact that I slip, I'm weak, there's things that I haven't fixed in myself, that should give me enough mercy and patience not to take this person's sin personally. Because what gets us vexed is we just don't like your type of sin. That's what really exposes immature leaders. I dislike your type of sin. Read on.
Verse 21. Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken.
And once again, we sit back here, we are so caught up into how a person speaks to me. You miss what a person's really going through because I'm so hyper focused on every word they said to me and how off it was and how disrespectful it was. A lot of times you're not able to properly counsel somebody because you're just so pissed off and offended by how this other brother responded to you that you can't get past the evil communication to actually teach the person the lesson. How many times we sat back here, I've seen brothers, there's always arguments and ranked emotions and punishments just off of the disrespectful word. Now, I'm not going to act like disrespect is acceptable, but we can't get past the messed up words to get to the root of the person. We got to get to the root of the problem, and sometimes let some of the crappy words go to get to the root of the problem. Read on.
Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee.
And he's telling you, you can't get so caught up into every word the person under you speaks. Because if you do, you're going to hear some things you really don't want to hear. So he says, don't sit back here and get overly thorough on every word that's spoken to you. Because you're going to miss out on how to develop them, and you're going to sit back here and hear something you don't want to hear that you can't take back. Read on.
For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others.
He says, if you don't sit back here and be honest, you've been disrespectful as hell too. In your mind. Why can't you think about that when you're just so, I'm just so anti-crime, anti-disrespect. And I can't accept when a person is disrespectful to me. You've been disrespectful too. Why don't you think about time you've cursed out a brother, or you want to curse a brother out? Hopefully that would neutralize the venom you got towards him. You're no different than him. That's why verse 20 was so important. There is not a just man on this earth that doeth good and sinneth not. There's not a person who's had pure thought their entire time in this truth. So why are you sitting back here so angry at another person's impure thought, knowing damn well you have impure thoughts? This is how we stay under control, and we can conquer that emotional state that we have inside of ourselves when we feel disrespected. When we feel that somebody doesn't respect us and ain't giving us our proper desserts. We got to grow up. We really have a lot to learn. Read on.
Verse 23. All this have I proved by wisdom.
He says, all this Solomon has learned from experience and trial and error. Read on.
I said, I will be wise.
And this is him sitting back here saying, I'm going to sit back here and be the wise man on earth. And in the midst of him trying to be the wisest man on earth, read on.
But was far from me.
But I was far from him. And when he realized in his pursuit of perfection, he was imperfect, now I can have more mercy and patience on the imperfect people that I have to work with. Let that verse go and go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 24 through 26.
God.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 24 through 26.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 24 reads, and the servant of the Lord must not strive.
The servant of the Lord must not strive. It's not about the leader and the person who's connected to the Most High. Shouldn't be showing a habit of arguing, fighting, and arguing, and fighting, and checking, and cutting, and arguing, and fighting. Read on.
But be gentle unto all men.
Now, when you sit back here, it says true counselors must know how to be gentle. Now, when you go in the Blue Letter Bible, the word gentle, they gave affable. And affable was a good explanation of what gentle looks like in real life. So he says the servant of the Most High must be gentle or affable. A-F-F-A-B-L-E. Affable means a true counselor and leader should be affable, easy of conversation, admitting others to free conversation without reserve. What that means, if you're a really good counselor, you should sit back here and allow the environment to be comfortable enough for somebody to speak their mind freely. But a lot of bad counselors, the environment is so tense because the younger spirit is afraid to say the wrong thing because they're going to blow up. The ranking man is too immature and too childlike and is going to overreact to any word that the young man says is going to piss him off. That's how you know you're not affable. The young man should be comfortable enough to speak their mind to the person he's working with. If you're not creating that type of environment, then you're not gentle. So once again, affable means easy of conversation, meaning it's easy to talk with the person. They're approachable. And they're not going to take you personal if you say something that's immature or young. Yes.
There's no like representative involved.
Yeah.
You can see the truth. Both of y'all can see the true nature in each other.
It's genuine, and there's no tension. There's no fear. You can tell a lot of brothers that are out the spirit. They always make their environment uncomfortable. It's always tense, and it's really, and they make it tense on the young man on purpose, so they don't got to share. They don't got to share. They keep the environment uncomfortable. That's how you know you got a bad leader. That's why if you're in the truck with a guy and the truck is just uncomfortable as shit, it's just tense town. There's a guy that's driving this. It's negative, and he's not a good leader, and he's not a good counselor. Does that mean you're not supposed to follow him? Yes, you're supposed to follow him, but you got to be able to understand. I have to stay in order, but he's also a bad counselor and a bad leader, and that's okay because everybody here is working on that. We're all working on these things. But a gentle brother is supposed to be affable, easy of conversation, admitting others to free conversation without reserve, courteous, complacent, of easy manners. If you're with a good counselor, it's easy to work with somebody. It's easy to work with that guy. The environment is easy. Just do my job. Everything, the day should go through smooth. We have somebody deal with all this emotional discomfort on top of 100 degrees outside. on top of like 600-pound refrigerators out. It just makes life miserable, right? 107 degrees driving in a truck to Del Rio. And it's negative vibes there too out. Come on, bro. It's hell on earth, right? And you just gotta sit back and shut your mouth and don't say nothing? That's a bad counselor. The environment should be light enough for us to talk and chat and be brothers. That isn't affable or gentle. Gentle don't mean soft and effeminate. That's why I'm saying this. Counselors should be gentle, meaning you create the spirit of peace around you. You create the energy where people can just be comfortable to be themselves without being judged. You create, the leader creates the environment so people can freely speak and be who they're supposed to be what they want to be, in reason. But if you're not doing that, you don't even know what the hell this is. You're a damn Joseph Stalin in here, right? Bunch of Stalinites, right? You know, Stalin was a bad guy. Whatever they said Hitler was, like Stalin was 10 times worse. Just so you know that. Stalin killed 60 million people, man. How about that? Yeah. Whatever other number people want to throw out there is nothing. Stalin killed 60 big ones. People would sit back here and protest against the government. The police will knock on your door at night and you'll never see them again. Yeah. People would sit back. You didn't have to do nothing. If they thought you did something, they thought you were against Russia, they'll pick you up at night. You go to a gulag, you go to a work camp and you die. 60 million of them, 60 million people died. Just because, and he just created an environment of tension and stress and fear. And that's our brothers do on the trucks. The brother at work. It's just constant discomfort. It's the leader and the ranking man's job to create the peaceful environment for everybody else. Not the other way around. Read it again. Read verse 24.
Come. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 24 reads, the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men.
But to be gentle unto all men. Gentle, another word for gentle, is affable. Affable is easy of conversation, admitting others to free conversation without reserve. Meaning the person that's younger shouldn't have to be reserved and afraid to speak and say anything. If that's how it is, that environment is toxic, courteous, complacent, of easy manners, condescending. So when you read, hold this and go to Romans 12 and 16. Romans 12 and 16.
Romans chapter 12, verse 16.
It says, be of the same mind one toward another. Mind not high things, but condescend to men of low estate.
We're supposed to condescend to men of low estate. But what that does, condescending means what? Creating a courteous environment. Making a person comfortable. Allowing the environment to be where the person can easily communicate to you. To where there is admitting others to free conversation without reserve. That's what you're supposed to do to men of low estate. The lower ranking man, your job is to make them feel comfortable. Comfortable enough to talk, comfortable enough to counsel, comfortable enough to vent, comfortable enough to share what's going on with him and not feel as you're going to attack him and destroy him. That's what your job is to be as a leader. That's what being gentle means. This is how we have to grow up as leaders and not make it about just checking people because you pissed me off or you said something the wrong way. We have to grow up. Go back to Timothy 2 and 24.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 24
So it
reads,
says this condescending communication usually applied to superiors. And this with the hope that the superior is supposed to initiate the spirit. As an affable prince, the leader is supposed to operate how he's supposed to be. The leader is supposed to create and set the tempo and the tone of peace and communication and comfortably share. My job is to make you feel comfortable to talk to me, not the other way around.
When you go into the Josephus, one of the kings of Josephus, I forgot his name, but the top here of Herod, and one of the Jews were destroying the name of this prince in the streets, and then the prince just went to one of the games. He brought him and sat next to him. He sat next to him, and he said, "What's the problem?" And he just talked to him like a 30-minute conversation.
Yeah.
After that, the dude that was railing against him in the streets just stopped railing against him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a very affable prince, but previously to that, he had bought a lot of money in debt, and he was engaged in some debts.
Uh-huh.
So he was humbled by his debts. So
Yeah.
he was a down to earth person. He got his money back.
Yeah.
He got back on top, and then he had to keep his rulership. But the point is, he had the opportunity to cut his dude's head off and just talk to him.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Your job as the ranking man is to create an environment where the brother can talk to you. Create an environment where a person can confide in you. If you can't create an environment for a person to confide in you, then what kind of a leader are you? You're a tyrant. You're a bully. It's the same thing with a rib. I can't count on my hand how many times brothers sit back here. The ribs are walking on eggshells every single day. And then you'll say, man, is your rib okay? Yeah, she's doing great. She's doing great. How is she doing great when she's walking on eggshells? She's afraid to talk. She can't have an opinion. And if she's afraid to say anything, because if she says anything, you're going to do this. You don't give them that I care like this.
Yeah.
You saying something against me? Like, damn, what kind of environment are you setting up in your house? She's supposed to lock in. She's supposed to be in order, right? Damn, yes, she's supposed to be in order. But it's your job to create an environment where she can speak. That too. You see how cold-hearted, how black-hearted we are, and how destructive we are? We have a lot to grow up, a lot to learn, bro. This is why, sisters, if you guys are afraid of your husband at the house, seek counsel. Seek counsel. Because that's not how we roll. We don't roll in an environment. We don't teach men that there's got to be this fear and this. The home shouldn't be Russia. Shouldn't be damn communist Russia. People are afraid to talk and speak. The Soviet Union at the crib. That's not what this was supposed to be. That's not what marriage was supposed to be. Yes, sir.
I thought earlier you was gonna read that verse where it talks about be not a lion or frantic in my house.
Yeah, God, it's the same thing. I just chose Stalin in Russia. Stalinist Russia is worse than the Lion Act. Listen. All Stalin did is just put big pictures of himself all around Russia. Like he was the savior of Russia. It's this ugly Georgian Edomite is everywhere. Everybody, and you better sit back here and say he was the savior of all. I told a brother a couple days ago, Stalin was given intel that the Germans were coming by his own spies. His own spies said, listen, man, the Germans got this operation called Barbarossa. They're going to come attack in June. We need to get all of our forces ready on the western side of Russia to prepare for this German attack. He said, nah, I know Hitler. He ain't going to come do that. Hitler ain't going to come. He ain't coming to attack on the west. He's not. He ain't. It's like 4 or 5 of his guys told him that he's going to do it. So guess what? He did it. Hitler did it and almost conquered.
He almost conquered.
Almost conquered Hitler. Hitler almost conquered Russia. He messed up because he didn't finish to go to Moscow. Yeah. He chose not to go to Moscow. A couple of things happened. He left a little bit late, and he didn't go right to the heart of the country in Moscow. He stopped around Leningrad and stuff like that. The point is this: after they got control over the country, and they started pushing Germany back, and they started getting themselves back, and their momentum was right, he ended up killing all of his spies that told him Germany was going to come. He killed all of his spies because he wasn't going to sit back here and have anybody show him up.
Told you so.
And say that you mess up and you cause millions of deaths for your people. So I'm going to kill my loyal spies who gave me the correct intel because they're going to make me look bad.
Yeah.
But that's how we roll. That's how we roll in Israel too. I'm going to punish good communication. I'm going to punish positive, good communication from my servants. I'm going to punish that. That's how we do at the house. You need good communication from your wife to help you look at things the right way. You need it.
That's how
you punish good behavior. You punish good communication. It's like Joseph Stalin punished good communication. They're dictators, like maniacs.
That's the same thing as the.
And the thing is this: listen. Stalin was a narcissist, megalomaniac. What are you? What are you? Is there a little Stalin in you? I don't know. Maybe not. There might be a little Stalin in us. You can't speak. I'm creating an environment where you can't speak. You better go to work with these garbage jobs I'm providing for you and say nothing.
That's it.
That was Russia, bro. You better give up your religion. You better give everything. Anyway, I'm just bringing a small little thing about the environment negative people create in their homes and amongst brothers. Yeah. In comparison to what world leaders did when they were destroying countries. And that's why we can't let brothers with these type of personalities make major decisions for the nation. It's very detrimental, very harmful for our people.
Tyrannical.
So, let all that go and get back to Timothy 2 and 24. 2 and 24. We're going to read 24 to 26.
And the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be affable unto all men.
Gentle, affable, yes, sir. Read on.
Apt to teach, patient, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves. If the Most High, peradventure, will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth.
So verse 25 is very important. It says, in meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves. This is how you have to look at a sick person's response. Their disrespectful actions and conduct to you is really them opposing themselves with the Most High. Their negative, their inconsistency is them getting in the way of their growth with the Heavenly Father versus this person got a problem with me and I need to check him. He says we're supposed to be meek. To be meek is to endure injury without what? Resentment. So I am supposed to sit back here and be injured by sick people and not take them personally. That's one. And then we're supposed to teach people whose actions and whose pride and whose selfishness and whose immaturity is really only hurting who? Themselves. My job and our job is to teach people whose conduct slows them back. Why am I taking it any different than that? If a brother don't want to listen, he's slowing his growth up. If a brother wants to sit back here and look at everything you do and not what he does, he's slowing his growth up. My job is to teach a person whose conduct doesn't work, and the more they do it, they lose time. If I look at it that way, then I'll focus, okay, if you're looking at me, then I'm going to show you a good example. I'm going to show you a great example. And that's it. And then if you want to sit back here and waste time and lose your life, and you keep falling back, then you do that. But I'm going to be a good example, so I'm blameless. So if you want to waste time, you waste it. That's how you operate and not taking it personal. Read on.
Come. It says, and that they may recover themselves.
No. In meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves, if the Most High.
If the Most High, peradventure, will give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth.
So he's like, listen, you have to be blameless in hopes that eventually they might acknowledge their shortcomings and come back to the Most High in Christ. Remove yourself from the equation, do the right thing, and hope they sit back here and appreciate it and see the error of their ways and make their adjustments. Read on.
Come. And that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil.
Can you recover a person from the snare of the devil? It says they got to recover themselves from the snare of the devil. So why am I getting angry that they're not listening to me? I don't have the control to fix anybody. All I can do is be a good example, make sure my conduct is right. I've strung enough good works to where they can't blame me for why they don't want to change. And if I can do that, then the hope and prayer is that they'll see my good works and then look at themselves and make a decision that they have to change in hopes that they can recover themselves from the snare of the devil. We don't control anything. So stop being mad. People don't listen to us. They're not listening to God. That's why Christ said, marvel not that they what? That they hate you. They hated me before they hated you. If we maintain that focus, I won't be so emotionally tied up into a person not locking into me. Who am I anyway? Does everybody understand? Are there any questions on this topic? Maybe, I don't know. We're going to shut it down now. Thank you for tuning in, y'all. See y'all on Wednesday with Sham Shawah. Shalom.